What is up, scrubs? I'm back with a video. It's a DBS Strategery video. I do these every once in a while. And this one is entitled Tears for Fears. Thank you guys so much again for all the support you've been showing my channel and whatnot. Thank you guys for all the subscriptions and of course all the huge views on my channel. I truly appreciate it. There's no fake news here. Maybe some of the time if you think so. But here we're going to talk about Tears for Fears. So tiers are a great way for some people to break down a format of what they think decks are viable. And I think that a tier system a lot of times is something that you can use and can be helpful as long as you properly manage it or you're properly playtesting, getting all of the data you need so you can determine what your tiers are. So as opposed to looking at the tiers, I myself prefer to look at a format, especially in a game like this, where you have, of course, a bunch of colors. So you have 4 colors. And so you have different color combinations that can be played, and then of course you have the different leaders that can impact each color and can cause a different color to be played a certain way or different cards to be played. So that kind of creates tons of archetypes within the game itself. And so instead of looking at the format in tiers, I prefer to look at it in levels. So I think of what's the level 1 deck in the format. So the level 1 deck is going to be the deck that's often the most played, is going to have the most permutations or the different variations of the deck itself. You're just going to see that leader in that type of deck the most. And then, of course, you go from there, and then you have level 2, which is the level 2 is going to be trying to counter level 1 deck. And then you have level 3, which level 3 deck is going to be trying to counter the level 2 decks. And then of course, that's going to be how your format kind of shapes up, what's at the top tables a lot of the time. And then that's where your room for innovation comes in. Because it's like, oh, well, if I find a way to attack X deck, and at the same time I can attack this deck at the same time, whether it be a sideboard plan or just some slots that you can dedicate to it, there's where you can pick up a lot of extra win percentage. So for instance, in a format where you feel that gods are a heavy type of deck, maybe you need to put some sort of plan to beat gods in your main deck, as well as your sideboard, so you can have a really good matchup in game 1 against any deck, but also especially be able to hedge and improve your chances over a different deck as well. And then there's a lot of innovation that'll come from that and then allow you to be able to, again, like I said, exploit the format. And so, but right now we're discussing the different levels and what my opinion, I think the levels of the format are, what my public enemy number 1 is, and of course going forward, what you should be looking out for. So let's go ahead and dive right in. This video is not going to be too long. I don't really like to do long videos, because I like to just get you the information as quickly as possible. You guys can go from there and do whichever you like, and then to begin testing, because I know me, I spent all night testing so far, and then I just decided to make this video because of all the information that I picked up. I wrote notes and whatnot. But so let's go into it. So public enemy number 1 is, you guessed it, Cell. Cell is everything that we were taught to love and adore in set 1. Cell is removal. He is card draw. He's resource denial, because he denies your opponent's cards. He does everything you could possibly want and more. He also can fit into so many different strategies. So if we just look at the basic Cell decks, let's just start with the baseline decks. Let's just start with the California core TCG event that just runs the Union package plus blue good stuff. Mostly just the extra cards package so you can run Sensu and whatnot. And then we just look at the mono green, which is just all in on Union Absorb and all in on the combo and getting it as quickly as possible, getting the 7-drop on the table ASAP. Those decks are very strong. They have a really high ceiling. And that's what's great about those decks. They are a little bit more draw dependent than other builds, but again, high ceiling. And Cell enables this. Cell the leader gives you that early game stability by being able to kill your opponent's setup cards or setup creatures, and then also just has the ability on the backside, the ones he awakens, to produce tons of card advantage by being able to trade a card that you're not using for 2 cards and be able to blow up anything on the board. If you look at the Cell package in general, you have tons of options. You have, like I said before, you have the Union package where you can go all in on that. You have the blue-green kind of mid-rangey package where you're running Cell's Birth is kind of your key card to make sure you can ramp. It's essentially your ramp so you can play your really strong 5-drop cells, so Forceful Strike, Power Stealing on 3, and then you can play your 7-drop on 5 if you need to. And so you have that type of Cell deck that's either blue-green mostly, and then runs Revenge blockers, really grindy type of deck. Really cool, definitely mid-range borderline control, and I really like that deck a lot. And then of course you have more aggressive strategies like red-green or red-blue that kind of give up the Union Force package altogether. And especially in the red versions of the deck, because you know a lot of the really good red cards have a high devotion cost. But of course, a lot of the cards, and one of the most important cards when it comes to Cell, is TN. Dropping the TN on turn 2 when you combo and play it and getting the multiple activations to get yourself to awaken is incredibly powerful. you're talking about huge amounts of card advantage that you're gaining. And anytime you're going to be able to pick up that much steam and then drop a 7-drop Cell on that turn or the turn after, I mean, there's just so much advantage. So Cell, in my opinion, is going to be the most played deck going forward as we go into the weeks that come when it comes to your locals or larger events at shops. And then of course you have the regionals coming up. I think Cell is definitely public enemy number 1 for the weeks to come, and I think that people are going to continue building around Cell because his leader is so versatile. He can fit, like I said, into aggro, mid-range, and control strategies. He's great in aggro because it can kind of give you that stability that you want, especially if the game starts to go longer than you want it to. And then, of course, he's great in mid-range and control because he provides card advantage and removal. So, Cell in general, this is our public enemy number 1. This is the deck we're expecting to see the absolute most of at the top tables, as well as just in general. So, if this is the deck you expected to see at your shop this weekend, we're going to start going over our number 1 contenders right about now. Number 1 contenders, Captain Ginyu and Cold Bloodlust. The Captain is real good still. Having access to the most powerful card in the game that stops any powerful card in the game is really powerful. I said powerful a lot, but that's okay because it's true. Captain Ginyu has self-awakening abilities to draw lots of cards, and then of course Cold Bloodlust is great to counter Cell because Cell's real big game, of course, is playing the 7-drop Cell to put you down to 3 cards. Anytime you're Ginyu, you draw a ton of cards, and then you can Cold Bloodlust your opponent's 7-drop Cell. It feels real good because the value that they were trying to generate out of that 7-drop Cell was astronomical, and the fact that you deny your opponent of that value is very strong. And this turns any matchup against Cell into pretty much them, where they feel their 7-drops are almost dead because they know you're going to be saving your Cold Bloodlust for other 7-drops, at least 1 or 2, which they're only going to be able to cast 1 to 2 per game. And then from there, you just make it a war of attrition, where you're basically playing your removal against their removal. They don't have access to Cold Bloodlust, so you're going to be resolving things like your Super Saiyan Gotenks, your Beeruses, your Hidden Awakening Kales, you're going to be resolving your Promo Gons. Of course, I'm talking about Tricolor Ginyu, because I think Tricolor Ginyu has the most power right now. So I think Captain Ginyu is going to be a deck that you're going to be seeing number 1 contender. So this is something you're going to be seeing at the top tables as well this week. And then, of course, we have Zamasu. Zamasu is a really good matchup against Cell. Mostly because of the fact that Indestructible don't care about Cell's removal. So Cell essentially can put you down to 3 cards, which is great. Like, Cell can do that often if he has the cards to be able to do it, but Zamasu has the ability to be able to use all of its life as a resource for card drawing ability before awakening and trying to draw extra cards. So Zamasu is a great counter to Cell in the fact that he makes Cell's removal much worse, and because of the fact that he can wait to awaken. So he doesn't have to, like I said, he doesn't have to force his hand. He can just wait to draw cards, and then Cell's on a clock, because essentially once 6-drop Goku Black promo hits the table, untaps, plays 10-drop Infinite Fuse Zamasu, that clock is real quick. And especially if the Cell played T in that game to awaken, yeah, you're going to be able to have your opponent dead really quick if you're playing Zamasu. So Zamasu in general I think is a really good call. If you have the Goku Black promos, 1 to 2 copies, please play them, jam them in. If I had them myself, I would totally play them. That's why I'm trying to get my hands on them right now. But the prices are a little bit outrageous. I mean, I understand though. It's a key card in a really popular deck, so it makes sense. But these are your number 1 contenders this week. This is stuff you should be either looking to play against or what you're looking to play this week if you're looking to counter Cell in general. So please check out these 2 decks, check out these strategies if you already haven't, and put these on your radar. These are our number 1 contenders. This is what we would call level 2. Next, we're going to go to my next slide, which is counter the counters that counter the counters. You like that? It's true. So this is essentially going to be level 3. So these are the decks that are going to be able to beat level 2. As you can see, I almost set up like a curve here. So 1-drop Kaba, 2-drop Mighty Mask, 3-drop Ultimate Gohan, 4-drop Jiren, 5-drop Ghost Tank, 6-drop Babidi. I know Miraculous Ultimate Comeback Gohan can be played for 2, but a lot of times you're going to be playing on turn 3 in a strategy like this. This strategy, this curve, destroys God-based decks, including Zamasu. You're going to get Zamasu's life total down extremely quick, and then you're going to be able to present tons of double strikers on the table. It's going to mill Zamasu out a lot of the time. In this build, you're going to be playing 4 Ghost Tanks at your curve, at the top of your curve, along with multiple Babidis between 3 and 4 in the deck itself, multiple Jirens. You're going to be playing 4 Ultimate Comeback Gohans, 4 Kabas. You're putting as much pressure on the opponent as possible. A couple leaders that can be played in this strategy. You can play Vegeta. I think Vegeta's good, but if I were going to be playing any leaders right now, it'd either be Cell or Goku. Main reason why is because they can each ditch a card from hand. Then Uncommon Goku gives you the +5k for the battle, which is really cool. And then, of course, you have Cell, who can put a card underneath him to kill something on the front side, or just do it because you want to do it. So Cell and Goku fit really good into the red strategies. You can play dual color, but I really tend to lean mostly red, especially for Goku. It's usually mono red with maybe splashing some blue for like Jocko's and Sensubin. And then, of course, if you're playing Cell, you can do heavy red with a dose of blue, heavy red with a dose of green, or, of course, heavy red with a dose of blue and a tiny bit of green, so you can play TN. And, of course, you have to play your Trunks Protector of Children. So heavy red is a great way to beat the God-based decks. And then if you want to focus on beating Ginyu and then have a solid matchup against Zamasu as well, you can look at either Soul Striker Goku or Golden Frieza. Soul Striker Goku and Golden Frieza have the thing in common if they can minimize how good Cold Bloodlust is. Cold Bloodlust is an amazing card, but if you can make it so you're presenting 2 to 3 threats per turn based on the amount of energy you have and make your opponent have to think about when to play it, you're going to be better and better as over the course of a game. And so Soul Striker and Golden Frieza, like I said, the untapped 2 is going to be what minimizes how good Cold Bloodlust is because of presenting multiple threats each turn. So those are 2 decks that you can see. Blue Goku, the Soul Striker Goku, I can definitely either see playing blue-red or blue-green. Both of those are really viable. Blue-green, of course, is going to be able to have 5-drop Super Saiyan Gotenks. So against the rest of the field, that deck is really strong because you can play that essentially for 1 energy or your turn. But if you're really looking to play against gods, you're going to be able to want to lean red. You're going to want to play stuff like Jiren, Ghost Tanks, and Babidi in the Soul Striker deck. Because, again, being able to present all those double strikers on the field puts a ton of pressure, and then having Babidi at the top of the curve, tons of pressure on the opponent itself. And then Golden Frieza, again, same thing. But you're also going to have access to Cold Bloodlust, which is going to give you a good Cell matchup, too. So this is where we start, like I said, where you start to find those decks that can kind of make their way into the format because they can counter multiple things. And Golden Frieza is one of those leaders that can do that. The only thing that I don't like about Golden Frieza is you were really niche. Like, you have to run the Avenging Frieza and the other Frieza to be able to make the package, so you have the ability to make the front and backside relevant. But I still really like this deck. Even in set 1 format, I preferred to play blue-yellow Frieza in a format with lots of Ginyu because it had a better matchup, because I could keep up on card parity because of the untapped draw card, and then I also made their Cold Bloodlust way worse because I could present multiple threats per turn. So untapped Golden Frieza counters a lot of decks right now. And then, of course, Soul Striker Goku, I really like if you're playing against a lot of gods. And again, if you're playing against Ginyu, you'd be able to minimize the risk of untapping 2 blue whenever you swing. So these are 2 decks you should also try out if you're expecting your format to be heavy on Ginyu and heavy on Zamasu. Either play lots of red or untap lots of stuff this weekend if you don't want to play Cell or if you don't want to play Ginyu or Zamasu. Of course, there's other decks that you can be on the lookout for as we go forward. There's decks that you need to know how to play against. So, for instance, like the Babidi Black deck, which people really like. I think the deck is really cool. I'm glad that the combo decks like that exist. I know there's more in the game itself aside from that. But I think that deck, like if you're a Cold Bloodlust player, so you're playing Ginyu or you're playing Frieza, you only really need to Cold Bloodlust 2 cards in that entire deck, which is Babidi and Ghost Tanks. And that's how you're going to be able to stop them from doing what they want to do to kill you. So again, they'll play their Goku Black, you'll let that resolve, they'll take their 2 life. If they want to play something, they can, but if they don't, then they're going to waste that 6 energy for the entire turn, which is fine. It's going to go into your turn, you'll still have your Cold Bloodlust in your hand, you won't care. So again, be prepared to see that matchup. If you're not playing yellow, that matchup can be pretty terrifying, especially if they go off as early as turn 4, which they have the capability of doing. So please be on the lookout for that deck. You have Metacooler as well. Know how to play against it. Metacooler being a deck, I know it's fringe because of the fact that it's a really low percentage of the field, but decks like that and decks that rely on the 5-drop Super Saiyan 3 Gotenks for tokens, Sensubin becomes just the most insane card. So playing blue was always a good option this weekend as well. And then, of course, you have the big kitten, Beerus and 12-drop Whis. That deck is great because your opponent has to kill you before you get to 12 energy. Otherwise, you just lose the game because they're going to play Whis that turn. So there's a lot of decks to look at in the format right now, but if we're talking about our tiers or we're talking about our levels, remember, level 1, we're looking at Cell. Level 2, we're looking at Zamasu and Captain Ginyu. And then level 3, we're looking at lots of red, Soul Striker, Golden Frieza. I think you're going to see those for now. I think Vegeta is still really relevant. I think that it's just a solid deck and beats a lot of things and can take advantage of the format, especially if people aren't prepared for it. And then Vegito. Vegito also has a really good matchup against the gods because, like I stated before, it can't deal with the board going wide. Zamasu can't deal with multiple double strikers on the table. It's playing one removal spell per turn. If it doesn't get 10 drops Zamasu out, that game gets real tough real fast. So Vegito is still really relevant. So if you expect your local meta to play lots of gods, then, like I said, play a lot of red. Play a lot of red, play Vegito, because your opponent's not going to be able to stop you. Or even play the Bobbity Black deck. So, I mean, eventually I think we're going to get to a point where we're starting to call these decks Bobbity decks as opposed to calling them the Vegito or anything else. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Again, like I said, it was something quick. If you hated the video, thumbs down it. Leave me some feedback. Tell me what sucked about it. Tell me I'm bad. Give me all that stuff. So it just because it helps me get good at this. If you enjoyed the video and want to see more videos like this, maybe on a week-to-week basis or something, let me know. I like to analyze results. I play test a lot. I spent the entire evening tonight play testing before I made this video, so I'm just learning more and more about the format, and so I like to share that with you guys. But otherwise, again, thank you guys so much for subscribing and being a bunch of scrubs along with me, because I'm bad. But I'm also good. I'm here to help you get good. And I truly appreciate, again, all the feedback you guys have given me. And then reaching out to me. If you guys, lots of people reach out to me to give me feedback about the different decks that I've posted that they've been playing. And then, of course, different stuff that they want to see on the channel and whatnot. Continue to do that. Continue to give me your feedback. Continue to tell me if the decks are bad or if the decks are good. I really appreciate that. Otherwise, though, thank you guys so much for subscribing. I hope this video helps you get good and you do well at locals this weekend and you win all the tournament packs and you pull the Goku Black Rose and then you send it to me, because we're besties and you're a subscriber. But otherwise, thank you so much for subscribing. I hope this video helped you get good. Okay, bye.